republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty.
Father, we thank you so much.
Amen. Thank you. So this is a special call, Finance Committee, but not. It was announced. First thing we're going to take up is the opioid funding. We have some guests here we're going to be chatting with here in a second. So Lori has put together a packet for us here, and she has it nice and orderly. When we bring them up here, the order of questions from commissioners, you'll see on the first page, like for the example, ATS The Bridge is the first one. Commissioner Alford, you'll be first, and myself, and Commissioner Mason Slater, and Commissioner Winters. Mayor is not here. Adam, does the mayor give you, when it's his turn, questions to ask, or if you want, just butt in? And then Chairman Cry. So that's the order that we'll go through with questions and stuff like that. Like we do with the hearings, I was thinking we do it the first round, the second round, real quick. We've allowed it 15 minutes per organization, but so be it. We're not going to be taking up any voting on this. We're just going to take in the info that we get from the organizations, and then we'll schedule how to proceed at the next Finance Committee. As you know, you've seen the numbers on the budget and stuff. We've already we received a certain amount. We've already appropriated opioid money to the juvenile drug court, I believe. Judge Morgan, right? Judge Morgan over there. That's going to be a recurring cost. So we did mental health for the responders, for law enforcement, fire, EMS, 911, all those employees. We set aside money, if you remember, for mental health stuff. So basically, if you add up the requests that she's put together in the matrix here, there's more requests than there is funding this year. This is an ongoing funding, but the amount that the state is budgeted, they've only forecasted the next 2 years. Next year, what they forecast is lower than this year. The reason that is because as the lawsuits from all the different drug companies, some drug companies decided to pay their, was not a fee, but what they are obligated, in the lawsuit, all of it up front. Company A said, we owe X amount and here it is and leave us alone. Some companies decided that they would do it over years. And then there's some still trying to figure out what to do. So that's why there's going to be different amounts over the years with respect to this. I bring that up just in consideration when you're asking if these are going to be ongoing or one-times and stuff like that. So any questions on that? We're not going to take up any voting on the opioid. We will with the water later on, but not with the opioid. Any questions from the members of Finance Committee? Seeing none? All right. We'll start with ATS The Bridge. The representatives are here. And I'll start off in recognizing Commissioner Alford for as much time as you need. Commissioner Alford.
K2 program. Give me a little what you do in your K2. Whose kids are you talking to, and who are you dealing with, basically?
let me interrupt you real quick and just have you introduce yourself real quick so the folks on the video can know who you are.
I'm Zandra Welch with ATS The Bridge, and this is Jared Waldrop, and we are the team of ATS The Bridge. But as far as the K2 program, everything that we have learned tells us that we have to start awareness and prevention at an earlier age, and that's kindergarten. We recently, just a couple of weeks ago, introduced this program. There is a TIMBY, it's called TIMBY Fights Addiction, talks about addiction, and it is a bear that we use with a book, a coloring book, and crayons. It was amazing. There are pictures in your packet that we sent along with it that shows one of our volunteers who is teaching that class. She's a retired teacher from Bradley County Schools who has also been a reading instructor. And she understands addiction. She's had a family member walk through addiction. So it's very passionate for her too, but she is teaching all of us how to do it, and she is one of 4 schools that's our pilot program. There are things that we know we need to talk about, but we have to do it in a different way with each school. Age, I guess I should say.
How many students do y'all work with on a daily basis or weekly basis? And what's the criteria for getting into your program?
To getting into our program, you just ask us to come, and we come. There's no charge. We partner with our Bradley County schools, our Cleveland City schools. We've been requested by other counties to come. Right now, we do a log. We started logging several years ago, and we have reached over 80,000 students. Some of those have been repeat students because we've always started in the 4th grade.
So you go to the schools?
Yes, sir, we do. That's most of what we do.
How many schools would you hit on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, could I give you like a weekly average? Would that be better? Because sometimes we're at one school all day long. But sometimes we can hit, for instance, next week, we're in 8 different schools next week. It is Red Ribbon Week, so that's a big deal. That's National Drug Awareness and Prevention Week, so.
I'll come back with some more.
Thank you, Commissioner Alford. Let me go back to, I believe I'm next, right, Lori? Help me. Touching on that, public schools is your audience for the most part. The private schools, we have a few in Bradley County. They are included as well. Homeschool, I mean, you're basically from 4th grade to 12th grade. That's your audience. That's your target market, and you're now expanding that to kindergarten because the data tells you that you need to get to your message of, not doing drugs at the kindergarten level. Right? Wrong? Yeah.
Correct. We have been invited to some private schools, and we are working with a TCPS now to come up with a way to get into their schools and homeschool.
And
Right.
you got something for the homeschool, the parents who decide to homeschool.
Yes. This March, we're actually having our first homeschool, basically kind of like a evening seminar with homeschool families coming together. That's part of the co-ops in the area. Had some of the homeschool families approach us and asked us to help them put together a whole event for any school family that would like to attend. And it's going to be a seminar that we're going to have open to school families that would like to be part of the presentation.
I think that's good. I mean, we have a certain number of homeschools. I don't know that the percentages, the school systems keeps track of that, but they're a part of our community as well. Your programs, what you do, are they existing programs? In other words, you tailor them obviously for Bradley County and our needs here, but they come from a national organization, or you put them together yourselves, or
Most of what we present in school comes from us.
okay.
The IMBY, that's an existing program that really is led by the state of Tennessee, but is national. But it's coming from the Tennessee Danger Initiative, That is one that applies. So there's other ones that, through funding that we'll be able to utilize as well, like the best.
The reason why I asked is I didn't know, I was wondering if you had to pay any like subscription or rights to use or anything like that with the funding. So if it's all yours, it's, yours, then obviously you don't have to pay any royalties or subscriptions or anything like that.
Other than purchasing.
We don't. And as far as the 10B program, they are actually writing a curriculum right now for K through second grade. And we've been privy to have access to that through, we are now Drug Endangered Children Alliance in the state of Tennessee, which is vetted by the TBI Dangerous Drugs Task Force. So we've been able to access that information before the formal curriculum is out and come up with our own.
Very
And
good.
it's worked very well.
That's good.
So.
So this is kind of the question I've been having with this whole issue is, how do you measure how successful you are? I mean, we're talking statistics. I can only assume that, you would have wished in a perfect world, every child that you talk to adheres to your teaching or what you're doing. But we know that there's going to be some that just whatever. I mean, statistics are what they are. But how do you measure success with your program?
I think,
In other words, we come back to you next year, October 24, and we're like, how did you do?
Sure.
Right?
well, I think, from your numbers standpoint, being able to, log 80,000 student reach is a good thing. I think for us though, the marker of success is the fact that continually ask back.
Yeah.
That schools trust us, that community organizations trust us, that other counties are beginning to trust us based on recommendations from Bradley County. For us, I think that's one of the biggest markers of success when educators specifically ask you to educate their kids. And not only that, but the SROs and different partners within our community rely on us for information and updates on the latest trends and helping them understand some more of this epidemic that we're facing.
I agree. So if you weren't successful, if you weren't making an impact, they probably would say thanks, but no thanks. I get that.
Right.
So that's all I have for right now. Commissioner Mason is up next. Commissioner Mason.
I guess the only question I'd have is the 85,000 that you're requesting, how far would that last the whole entire year, or would that?
So that has been reduced by about 22,000. We went back and there's a lot of people wanting this small amount of money, and I think we all do different things, and we collaborate with most of these other agencies here. But yes, that will enable us to do a lot more than we do. We are not a 501c3, so we do not and cannot apply for the big state money. And so that does limit us. This is new to us to come to and ask for these funds, but we feel we are the longest continuing drug and awareness prevention organization in Bradley County. So this will take us very far, this 62,000. But it will also help us start new programs that we would love to start, new campaigns. We are big on prevention and awareness. I think that's what we do well. And there's so much that we still need to do that will really, really help us tremendously.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason. Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for the work that ATS The Bridge does. I mean, I know since 2017, your organization has been the leader in our area for drug prevention, and I personally want to thank you for that. I have a couple of questions. So your number is $63,000 now. Of that number, how much would be used for, or what percentage would be used for admin cost, if any?
None.
Okay, so it's
We are
all going to go to
fortunate.
programmatic costs?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. And the $62,000, would that be a reoccurring cost? Would you come back next year and ask for that amount of money or some type of funding for next year too?
Definitely. We have a lot of great ideas and a lot of thoughts, and we have grown tremendously over the last several years. And we are in our schools so much and in there with our kids. There are so many ways that have to be creative in how you reach them. We recognize that. So, yes, definitely, we would want to ask more.
Okay. And my other question was answered, and it was, how do you measure success? And you had asked that question. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater. Commissioner Winters, you recognize.
Thank you for being here. In all disclosure, I was a founding member of this group. Proud of that, and you can see who's on that board. The question I have is, these funds will go to, how will you use the $62,000 to, will you look at new personnel? Will you need material? Is it taking care of transportation? What do you think?
No, not new personnel, but I would like that. That would be great. We do have volunteers that we are currently training, educating. We spend a lot of time educating ourselves. There's a lot out there. The drug world is ever changing, and how to reach our kids is what we need to know now, and that's what we spend a lot of time doing. So training is a portion of that money, different curriculum and activities, and like for the high school, we found something at a big summit that we attended last year that Jared and I got to try. When you get in high school, you have to use a whole different approach for those kids than what you use K through second. We know that. I have a daughter in addiction, and I would love to be able to reach her, and I have had her kids. So reaching them is totally different, and these kids live in a drug-endangered life sometimes when they go home. So we have to be creative. One of the ways that we found is, which is listed in here, and there is a picture in there when you get the opportunity to look for it, is a way that they can actually, and we've seen those goggles, we've seen all the things, but there's different activities that these kids can do and see what it's like to be impaired. And it's interactive with us, and we teach them as they experience. So we have a lot of creative ways and new things that we'd like to bring, especially to the high school level, wouldn't you say?
I think, with this funding, in our mind, it's just an opportunity to go further faster, because throughout the course of the last year and a half specifically, we've done more with ATS than I think we ever have. It's taken large leaps and bounds, and because of that, there's always the need to continue to be creative, do what we do better. But then also there's opportunities that we see that we can expand further, teach better, educate better, and resource better. And so we see this funding as an opportunity to take what we feel has already been a good thing and take it to another level and make it that much more effective and to be invested back into our community.
Final question for me. As an old principal, I wanted to protect my school. I wanted to protect students and privacy and make sure parents were involved. And I know you have good relationship with the school. That's not but how do you ensure the fact if a student doesn't want to be in that group, they not come? How do you deal with if you pull back the scab and it's a real problem? How does the school work with you? So how do you work with the principal, work with the teachers and parents in this program?
A lot of times,
Briefly, yeah.
yeah. A lot of times the schools will call us because, for instance, what we're learning now, vaping is a big issue in our schools. We also know that if kids vape before the age of 18, they are more likely to have a drug abuse problem on down the road. Yeah, specifically opioids. So we are called in a lot of times to help the school, talk with the child. Sometimes it's a third grader, believe it or not, that's caught with a vape. So in one way that we work with the schools is talking with that child one-on-one or teaching a vape class specifically for them, however that they need us. And we get the parents involved, especially in middle school. Parents are always involved in any of the training and education that we do with vaping.
We also work really well hand in hand with the school counselor, open relationship, uh, what what we what we present and the life of the school. And with it being a difficult topic, um, we always try to make sure that it's a dark topic, obviously, but it's always covered in hope, and try to bring any sort of a positive spin that we can. So as much as it's don't do drugs, it's also please dream big and in hope. But within that, oftentimes we'll see that the presentation may touch a nerve in a student, and at that point, we're very aware, very careful to make sure that they get connected to the counselor at the school, teachers know, and a lot of times the teachers are learning things about students while they're sitting in that classroom watching the presentation. So we try to have a really open dialogue and because our entire goal is to help the school as the school helps the child.
Thank you, Mr. Winters. Mayor Davis is not with us today, but Adam has a quick question for you.
I know this is, you're applying for funding directly from the county today. Are you planning on applying for anything from the state?
We are not currently eligible because we're not a 501c3 to apply for those funds. However, we are part of the community foundation. They're trying to find a way to do it through them, but currently.
And last, Chairman Cry, you recognize him.
Thank you very much. I just want to say thank you for the work you're doing. My question really has been answered already. I think you posed it, Mr. Chairman. It's how do you measure success? Because that's a very difficult thing to do in your line of work. And I appreciate your effort. That's all
That's right. One last question. Well, just anybody wants to on the second round, but my quick question is the 501c3. Do you have any intentions for applying and going through? I know it's a legal thing or whatever, and obtaining that at any point in time in the future, or do you recognize that you don't need it, or just your thoughts on that?
Considered it, with our board, there has out. That's a board decision.
Sure, I get it. I mean, there's probably benefits of not, because I believe, if you have a 501, you then have to be audited, and I mean, nothing against auditors, well, really, but anyway. Any other questions, Commissioner Alford, Commissioner Winters, Commissioner Slater, Commissioner Mason, Chairman Cry? Yeah, Commissioner Alford, please.
I see you working with K through 2, which maybe not be quite appropriate for this question, but being a no educator myself and dealing with kids all my life, peer pressure it controls all teenagers. I don't care what you do, how well your parents are, anything. Peer pressure is the number one. Do y'all try to attack that in any form or fashion when you're dealing with your people?
We do. One of the big things that we are working on and have been working on the last few development of our school ambassadors. And our school ambassadors are a group of students, specifically in the middle school and really in the high school, that are partnering with us and are choosing to commit to a drug-free life and commit to be really promoters of hope. Instead of drug dealers, they're hope dealers. And so from that standpoint, it's a reverse peer pressure. Really helping students everywhere understand that not everybody's doing it, and speaking up for what's right and unashamedly living a drug-free life. And we feel like that is extremely important, and a lot of what this money would help continue to develop ambassadors within our schools, where we already have over 100. Our latest campaign video that was shown at the Bradley Walker Valley game featured 25 plus. They're very involved. Actually provide scholarships for one of our ambassadors from each school as they graduate. So we're investing in kids and helping kids understand that, their ability to stand up and live a drug-free life and discourage their peers from being involved in any sort of illicit drug activity. In today's day and time, where every 5 to 7 minutes somebody somewhere in the United States is dying of a drug overdose, they could literally save a life, especially in the high school ranks, where we know that a mistake with one pill can literally kill. They're speaking up in the lives of their friends, just affecting their sphere of influence could literally save a life in today's time. And we're already hearing testimonials from our ambassadors within the schools where they've reversed that peer pressure and are actually discouraging their friends from using and helping them make positive choices.
Thank you, Commissioner Alford. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. I know it's can be, we're up here, you're looking down at you and like that, but thank you for what you do. And like I said at the beginning, we're taking this all in, compiling it, and at our next finance meeting, basically seeing how we can allocate the money and that for. So you'll be hearing from us real soon. If any of the commissioners have any other questions or follow up, we have your contact, your email, and all that kind of stuff. I encourage you to just directly email them, CC Lori, so she can keep track of it from that kind of point of view. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay. Moving on to the next is Boys and Girls Club. If those representatives are here, I'd ask you to come forward, please. Boys and Girls Club, just remind everybody you have it in front of you. The request is $30,000 and population served. And on this one, I get to be first.
We have another handout as well if you want to see that. It kind of breaks down our request a little more.
Sure, if you'll give it to Lori, that'll be great. If you want to, you got time. Looking over your documentation, I want to go straight to the funding piece of it. Thank you. 16,000 will be used to support a lead staff to ensure the material is taught in depth across the country. Remaining 14,000 will be used to support program material and opportunities that expose youth to opportunities and situations. So 16,000 is that somebody's salary? Is that?
It's a part-time staff, and so the goal is if we were to receive the full funding, that we would have a part-time staff really focus on this program, and so their main job would make sure that every site, every one of our 7 Bradley County sites, and we'd also be teaching it at our workforce center. On Fridays, they serve a homeschool co-op group, and so we would be serving kids at basically 8 of our sites, and this person would oversee that program. They'd make sure the curriculum is being taught. They would oversee the mentoring, purchasing the supplies for the program, and so this person would really make sure that the grant dollars are being used to make an impact on the kids.
Understood. And for the record, can I get you to say your name real quick?
Yes, Denise DeBus.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I should have
okay.
done that at the beginning. I was ready to jump right in. Right. A little bit do I know. I do know about the Boys and Girls Club because we fund them in our budget for other programs, and I know there's after school tons of things, great things you guys do. But it's the Kile region, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, this is, I guess, is for everybody. Our counterparts in other counties, Ray County, Polk County, they received opioid funding as well. So, and they're just, how they choose to use it within the guidelines is up to them. So I guess my question is this program that you have here, is it for Bradley County kids only? Not that I have anything against Ray County or Polk County, but because I love all of them, but their commissioners have money as well.
Mm-hmm.
So is this for Bradley County only?
Yes, these funds would stay in Bradley County. While the program would be used somewhere else as well, this money would not go anywhere else in any other county.
Okay.
We would use their local funding for that.
Thank you. The last one here on your, you do partner with ATS The Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
How do you partner? Can you touch on that just real quick?
Yeah, sure. So we've done opioid prevention throughout the years. This funding that we're requesting is to go in more in depth.
Mm-hmm.
And so ATS The Bridge has come to our Johnson Teen Center and for several years and talk to our kids, raise awareness, and several of our other sites. And so they've been a really big partner in just spreading the word and prevention.
So ATS comes in there first, and then you guys come in there.
Well, we're serving the
where
kids every day, and so these kids, they're with us. You know, most of them are there longer than they are at home sometimes, especially in the summer. And so basically ATS The Bridge is an extra voice, an outside person that, you know, the expert in the field that gets to come in and teach our kids every once in a while, you know, every so often. But we would be the ones that are focusing on this curriculum, this program. We're the lead on that, and they're an
Not to cut you off,
an asset.
where I'm getting at is not duplication of
Oh,
effort.
no, it's not.
That's what I have for right now. Commissioner Mason.
Well, thank you for the Boys and Girls Club. Probably in the 70s and 80s, that probably kept me out of a lot of trouble at the Boys Club. You said 16,000 was for a part-time. That leaves 14,000. Will that be enough for the full year? At
Well, we definitely know
14,000?
how to stretch a dollar,
Okay.
and so more is always better.
Okay.
But we also want to be considerate. There's other programs that need funding as well. And so our goal is to serve 500 kids through these dollars. And so that would be pre-test, post-test materials, and in hopes that it would grow. And then next year we would possibly request additional funding to serve more youth through these dollars.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason. Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you currently use the Smart Moves and substance abuse and opioid prevention programs?
We do. Right now, it'll be one of staff at each site. It's not controlled, so you're not sure, you know, that the message is getting across consistently. And so the purpose of this, having one person over it, is to make sure that message gets across, that the program is taught to its fullest, because this is evidence-based. This is a program pushed out by Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and they have a team that's researched, that's put in the work, that's seen what works, what doesn't. They've revised it throughout the years, and so this would be teaching it to its full extent. It would be the mentoring, the pre, the post tests, making sure that everything gets done to its fullest.
And so in your request, it says a lead staff will potentially travel to our 7 sites. So will that person travel to those sites, or?
Yes, and I put potentially because if we don't receive the full funding, then we don't know if we'd be able to fund one staff to that extent. But yes, that person would travel to our sites to teach the program.
And so the $14,000 that you would use would be to buy materials that you hand out to the children?
Yeah, materials, training, supplies, the travel to the different sites, hands-on tools that we would use to get our message across.
So can you tell us, or this would be a follow-up question that you may have to get back to us, but of the 14,000, how much of that actually is going to materials? Do you pay your employees gas when they travel from site?
We pay mileage.
Okay, would mileage come out of the 14,000?
I believe so. I'd have to ask our finance
So
person.
I would like that 14,000 broken down as to actually how much of it is going to the programming and what other things, mileage, gas, whatever, that it'll go to. And that's the only thing I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater. Commissioner Winters, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Boys and Girls Club is a award-winning group. You have been recognized by the entire country on the work that you do. Derek and Beth Kimsey I've known since their college days, and I know their leadership is strong in this area and other areas. My question is, how do you introduce and enlist kids into this program? I saw it was serendipitously found by your director as he talked with a student. How do you introduce kids into the program? By choice, by direction from parents, by you all seeing the need? How do you do that?
Of all the above, a lot of it's word of mouth. Parents know that we're around, or there's a child looking for childcare, and another parent tells that parent about it. We go to school functions. We really just years of a good reputation, I guess, and
Sure.
we are affordable.
Okay.
We
So as the Smart Moves program. Tell us a little bit about that. What is
So-
that?
Yeah, sure. It's a prevention education program.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to catch the kids and teach them to make good decisions before they're
Right.
put in those situations. And
Right.
so it's discussion, role
Mhm.
playing, it's practicing the resilience skills so the kids are put in different situations and they're actually learning those skills or putting them into practice with, say, that staff person. So they're practicing these skills with their peers.
Right.
They're developing assertiveness, so we're teaching them how to make a good decision, how to stand firm in that decision, that it's okay not to follow their peers or not to follow their parent that's possibly doing the same thing.
Right.
And it's just teaching them about media and how
Right.
media will play an effect on their self-esteem and influence their thinking.
Yeah.
And so we're basically giving them the tools to stand up to say no when they're faced with opioids.
I know you have strong parental support in your program. How do you coordinate with the community and with parents? If you're going to have these classes, are parents involved with those classes? Do you communicate back and forth with them? How do you work with them?
We do. So we host family events. And so each of our sites hosts family events with their group of kids, with their group of parents or caretakers. Because as you know, there's grandparents and aunts and uncles that have custody of the kids. And so we'll host family events and do small sessions like this and play games and raise awareness through those family events. And that's how we pull them in. But we also have a really good relationship with our parents. You know, when a kid's doing something good, we'll tell the parents. If the kid's in trouble, we'll tell the parents. We provide, multiple opportunities before a kid is ever even suspended from the club. That's kind of our last resort. And so we just have we just try and build that good repertoire with them to where they trust us and know that, hey, if my kid's getting suspended, it's a big deal.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner Winters. Again, Mary Davis not here, but Adam may have a question for you.
I'm going to ask the same question for everybody, so you might just preface it before, but are you planning on applying for anything through the state, the Opioid Abatement Council, the
Not
community grant?
Not directly. So we are part of a Tennessee Alliance of the Boys and Girls Club, and they're putting in an application, but we would be serving only 20 kids through them.
Will that funding
It won't
go
overlap.
towards this program that you're applying for, or no?
It will, but it would serve 20 different kids.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Thank you, and Commissioner Alford.
Yes, reading your papers here, it say you work 1,500 young people, 5 to 18 on a daily basis through your 8 sites. Are your 8 sites all in Bradley County?
We have 8 sites in Bradley County, so 7 of them are units, and one of them's a workforce center. And then we serve other counties where we total 16 sites.
Normally, these classes, what kind of attendance or numbers do you have attending these?
1 to 20 is one staff to 20 kids is our ratio.
Is this in a kind of a quiet setting or out in the
Sometimes.
wide open?
Sometimes, so we have rotations, and each of our sites is different. So we have our Tucker unit, which is our main site. That's where, probably most of you have attended if you were a child and went to the club. And then we have housing units. We have a site in Cleveland State. And so each of our sites serve a different amount of kids. So we're Department of Education certified, and depending on our square footage is how many kids that site can serve. And so at some of our bigger sites, the groups are broken down, kindergarten and first grader in one group, you have second and third in another. And then at our smaller sites where their max capacity is, say, 25, they might have elementary and then middle and high school together.
I'll ask you the same question I asked the last group. What kind of courses or how much are y'all working on peer pressure teaching? Or they have ambassadors. Do y'all have anything similar to what they do?
We have our staff. We train our staff every summer. We do a training, and then throughout the year, we're doing trainings with our staff on just teaching our kids. And we do a lot of education. So this is one component that we know is a great need in our community with the opioid crisis. But we have other curriculums that we're teaching good decision making.
Does your curriculum touch on that area?
On
Peer pressure?
Yes.
How to deal with it and so
Yes.
forth and so on?
Smart Moves will touch on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Alford. Chairman Cry.
Again, thank you for the work you do. I'm a strong supporter, as several of us are, of the Boys and Girls Club. I guess my question really is a spinoff of a couple of others here. How do you measure success in this program, and is there really not a realistic way, I guess, getting hard numbers on it. And the other thing I have, it would appear that a significant portion of this $30,000 is directed toward administrative cost. Is that accurate?
It is. We felt like in order to actually be effective with the program and to see big changes in the future, that we needed to put somebody to oversee the program, to teach it, to make sure that it's operating to its full extent, that the education's getting through to the kids. And so we felt that in order to have an impact, we needed that face-to-face interaction with the kids. And so we know that when kids have an adult that's trustworthy, that they see consistently, that's when you have a big impact on them. And so our goal is that that person would be that impact.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman Cry. We'll go to the last round. Anybody wants, real quick, the 16,000 is gonna, you said hire a part-time person, and 16,000, that is a new warm person, a new body, somebody new. It's not supplementing an existing employee's income.
Hopefully, no. Hopefully, it is somebody that's already known our program, knows the kids, and that would be their role. So it'd kind of shift into that.
So somebody who's already on staff, and now that they take on this responsibility, you're gonna add an extra 16,000 to what they already make.
No, they would probably transition from their part-time classroom role into this. So it would supplement, I guess, what they're making. Somebody else would fill that classroom role, and they would take this program on.
Where I was going with that is if you've got them doing X, Y, Z, and now you're going to supplement them with 16 for this program.
They're not making 30,000 or something. Yeah.
Good. That's all the questions. Commissioners over here for Boys and Girls Club. I know it's intimidating. I don't mean for Finance Committee to be intimidating, but we have to do our part as far as goes. And I'll assume, I hate to assume, this would be a recurring thing. I mean,
yes.
Next year about this time when we get the next allotment from the state, a new request would be submitted.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you all. This process has been really smooth, and like you mentioned, we've been doing it in a couple other counties, and you guys are far along, and so we just thank you guys for your speedy process.
Thank you. Okay, next is Cleveland Dream Center. If the representatives from the Cleveland Dream Center, there they are. Hey, you're here. Very good. It's good to see you guys. If you would just state your names real quick so that we can get that on the Gene.
Regina.
Very good. The question is going to start with Commissioner Slater. Commissioner Slater, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here today. I know the last time you all were here, you were still looking for a building. Have you been able to secure a building?
No, we're still looking.
Okay. Do you have a board of directors that helps direct your work? And of the $62,800 and some dollars that you're requesting, will any of that go to any type of admin fees or admin cost, like to pay a salary or anything like that?
No.
It looks like the funding that you're requesting will be for furnishings of your residential facility with 20 beds, bedding, desk, linens, dining room tables and chairs, and kitchen setup. Do you have a quote for all of those items?
I brought a copy of our budget. If that's.
But did you where did you come up with the $62,805? Like, did you go and contact a business that would supply these and they provided a quote with you as to what this would all cost?
No, just from my own experience.
Okay, that's all the questions I have right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater. And let me stick to it is now Commissioner Winters. You're recognized.
Chairman. This couple are my neighbors.
Yes.
So
We won't hold that against you.
Gina and I and Regina went to Lee College together.
Yes.
Gina was on homecoming court. We go back great years. Tell us about the Dream Center. I'm familiar with it some, but some of us may not be as know you made a presentation earlier.
Mhm.
You're connected with Dream Centers International. You're going to
No.
be, or you're not?
We're
Okay.
not.
Tell us about it.
Our model is a little different than that, but the title Dream Center of Cleveland kind of represents not just today, but the future of the ministry that this is going to be. So we expect it to grow. But as we began to fine tune this mission, it became so obvious to us that the real need is for young men and women later on who are coming out of rehab to have a home type setting where they can continue to get support in all kinds of ways. But basically, to give them a safe place to live for an extended amount of time. Because when they come out of rehab, they usually come out with some good things that they've learned, but they don't have a place to go. They don't have money to get an apartment. They don't have skills to get a job. And their environment that they came from is typically not a good environment for them to go back into. What we don't want is to be way away from our community. So we're looking for a house close in because we're collaborating with so many other organizations in Bradley County that are going to serve our kids. City Fields is going to be part of our collaboration. They do boot camps for our kids that it's kind of like a quick class that will let them see if that's the kind of job they want to pursue. They do life skills training. In fact, we'll be one of the teachers of life skills training at City Fields, so we're going to be giving there too. And they also, not just life skills, but they have financial literacy classes. So City Fields will be one of our collaborations. We're also collaborating with the Job Corps Center or the American Job Center. And they have funding for all the things that we thought we were going to have to do on our own. So these kids, they do interest assessments, they do skills assessments, all of that. And then we'll actually place them. And if they need boots for a job, they will provide the boots for the job. When we started learning about these resources, we could hardly believe it. I mean, they are waiting. I think I mentioned this a lot, waiting for us to come because they are ready to serve. And we'll be collaborating with Cornerstone Mental Health and other places that will be all those pieces that these young men need. And then we ourselves will be working in the residence to just kind of support that learning. So they're going to need some repeating of that learning. We're going to, do all kinds of activities surrounding literacy skills and life skills and all of that. So it's a team effort, and there's no way we can do this job on our own. We have to have the community. As a result of that, they're going to build what is known in the field as recovery capital. When their time at Dream Center is over, they're going to know people in the community that they can go and talk to. They're going to have an employer. They're going to have a job. And I'm just so excited about all this stuff. Bacher just announced maybe just 3 or 4 days ago, and they've been working with kids like this already. But they're starting another program where kids who have no GED, who have no high school diploma, can come to Bacher, sign up on the dotted line. Bacher will pay them a wage while they're taking the GED, and they can work there too. And when they finish that, or their high school diploma, whatever, then they get a better position and can work up in the company. So anyway, we're just sort of that organization that gets them to the right place at the right time for what they need as they're learning to walk out their sobriety. So they'll live there 24/7 for a year to 16 months. And we know that it's possible that some won't stay that long. But we're hoping to make it so significant to them and just right what they need that they'll stay the program out because they need that much time.
One other question. Are you interested in 501c3 or are you?
Yes, we've had that for a couple of years. We've been just working on the foundation, and to do something like we're doing, We just need a really solid foundation
Do you
in
know
every
the-
way.
Do you know the pending population that's out there that's open for this, needing this? Do you know?
You know, we
Yeah.
have our state statistics. It's really hard to get our local. We do have some Bradley County statistics, the number of deaths and so on. But there's not a real good just, okay, we had this many incarcerated who are OUD. We had this many, you know, in prison or whatever. So we just know that, you know, Tennessee is second in the nation. We know that East Tennessee is the highest in the state. We're considered southeast, but it's pretty hard to just draw a line and say where east begins and ends. So we know we're in a high risk area of the country and of the state. We know we lost 51 to opioid overdose deaths in 2022. That's about the most recent statistics that are out there. We know that our OUD and SUD young men are also part of our homeless population. And so one of the benefits and the outcomes for this service will be to decrease that homelessness in our area. They're pretty well connected there. They just don't have any place to go.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. May I tell you that we submitted our application to the Opioid Abatement Council last night at 10 o'clock. And we'll resubmit.
Yes, in your program, how are you going to find these young people that you're looking for, and how many you think you'll be able to deal with if you had a house? What kind? How big a house? Sound like me. You're looking for a huge house.
We are.
How do you go about finding out which kids you're going to let into your program or not?
We are going to be on a task force with City Fields, and on that task force is a judge. I think it's Judge Freiberg is on that task force from Recovery Court. There's a law enforcement there. There's a good spectrum of people in the community, and they will be aware of people from their various, you know, services of young men at risk. City Fields just is on the streets a lot, and they'll have people that they recommend to us. They're all of them are pretty excited about having a residence that they can, you know, refer them to. So we'll get referrals from them. We suspect we're kind of working with Judge Freiberg's son that we'll get some referrals from him. We have just recently heard that Lynn Towns and their group from, you know, juvenile court is gotten grant money to open a recovery court for juveniles too. So for that upper level of that, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, you know, we'll get referrals from them as well. Who else is referring to us? That will probably keep us busy, but from law enforcement too, you know, we'll be getting referrals from them. Who are you going to say? Yes. Yeah, Cleveland State's going to be a collaboration, but they may refer to
when you
us.
get all these referrals and everything in, who does the final action, I guess, to get them into your house? Who's the final step?
Well,
You might get 50 referrals, but you can only have 10.
I know.
So
Yes.
who's the final say so?
Well, that's a very good question, and I suspect that, you know, our board of directors will come in, and it won't just be up to us. We wouldn't want that full responsibility, but with City Fields, I think we'll all make the decision together what would be appropriate for each individual case. We're concerned about the numbers. We are, and part of our dilemma is the law allows us to rent a house in a residence, providing that we only have 7 people in the house, and that includes the house manager. So that's starting out small, and we don't mind starting out small. But we feel the weight of the need. And so we hope we can find a facility where we could at least start out with 10 to 12. And, but we'll probably have to have a waiting list, to be honest, because we're the only one in Bradley County for men. And we're just a little behind in that. We're ahead in every other way I can think of with our nonprofits and all the support that's already in place. But, you know, we probably need at least 2 residences right now, but we'll just do the best we can.
Thank you, Commissioner Alford. Do you have other funding sources?
Well, yes.
You mentioned City Fields and Judge Freiberg, and I'm very familiar with them. But they have their own funding. I mean, they're getting funding. Do you have other funding sources?
Yeah, they aren't funding sources. They're just collaborations that we're making. Yes, we're just now starting with fundraising with our board. But, we've applied for this funding with the state. We won't know about that. And I thought it was the 1st of February, but I got a notice yesterday that it could be as late as May before they make a decision on those competitive grants. If we are awarded, we suspect that we're in a good position to receive that because the chairman of that board met here in Cleveland at a town hall meeting and said that the 2 biggest priorities were the rural areas and residents. The residences, we don't have housing for these young men and that are coming out of rehab. So we think we're aligned pretty well with what they're looking for. As far as, other funding sources, we have people that are already donating just personal in the community. Let me bring my funding sources. I don't know that I brought those today. Our work is ahead of us here. We've just kind of employed a person who is going to help us plan some fundraising events in the county. And then we hope that you guys will help us partially too. It's just going to be lots of units. I am meeting tomorrow with 2 people that are going to help us look into funding for housing, just housing. One of those is Creative Housing Initiative. It's a state program through the mental health and substance abuse. And then also in mental health, they also have their own programs to support housing for at-risk populations. So I'm hoping that we'll have some units that will, be applied to our need for the housing part.
Thank you for that. Just one other quick one. You indicated that the 62,805 is pretty much going to buy furniture. Looks like, if I read your document correctly.
Yes, it's furnishings, it's beds, it's desks, that kind of thing. But it's also
tangible things.
Yes,
not programs or anything like that. As I say anything, you're familiar with our PI Center that the school system has right there. It's, and most of us were here when it was just an idea. It really was, some school board members and a couple of commissioners, and it was like, hey, what do we think? And it was, so all great things start off as an idea. So I applaud you for that. You're at the beginning. It sounds like you're at the beginning stages, and the snowball goes down the hill, gets a little bit bigger and stuff like that. I appreciate that you guys are starting your program and trying to make a difference in our community.
Thank you.
As you heard me say at the beginning of the meeting, the requests are more than the amount we have.
Yes.
So we're going to have to take that and all that here pretty soon. That's all I have. Last is, I'm not last. Commissioner Mason's next.
I don't know that I have too many questions, but me working with inmates on a daily basis for the past 10 years, I do see probably within the last, I don't talk about it a whole lot, but within probably the last 6 months, I've had 2 guys that have worked on my crews that lost their lives to fentanyl. So I see this bothers me. We have a problem. There's no doubt in Bradley County we have a problem with it. I talk to these men a lot, and their problems are no father figure, they don't have nothing. once they leave the jail. So that's somewhere to start too. Is our jail once the door. Sure, once the door closes when they enter the jail behind them, they're there for a year, 6 months, however long, and then. But it's also once the door closes behind them as they go back into society, there's nowhere to go. It's probably homeless or back into drugs. And two of the guys that I just had on my cruise, I'd read in the paper where they had lost their lives, and they're not bad men. They just made bad choices, and we all make mistakes every day. How many folks would be helping y'all in the house? That would you have a lot of volunteers?
We are going to have, and then we are going to have some paid staff too. We'd like to hire a peer recovery specialist. This is someone, and most everyone that we hire, we want to have come through that life of addiction and be ready to help others. Our house manager will be one of those, and a peer recovery specialist who is just boots on the ground, helping them just through daily living. So we'll have some help that way. Jean and I will probably, we want to work with these kids. We do, and we hope we have opportunities because that's the joy of it all. But we'll have to kind of keep things sustained there, keep the funds raised, and make sure everything is there that needs to be there for them.
Well, I applaud you for taking this on. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason. Chairman Cry.
Thank you very much for the work and the sincerity that you have toward the work. As Commissioner Slater is aware, over at the center fields over there, there's an abundance of people. You're overwhelmed with candidates. So the selection process will be a challenge to you. And then we get down to the home, 7 people, including the house manager. What is your anticipated around time? Because you're overwhelmed with numbers, but then you're restricted by capacity. So I'm just curious, what you have an anticipated turnaround time for these people?
You know, if things go well with them, and you can't, every person's growth and healing is a little different time frame. But what in our minds we're thinking a year, and if there's some who need a few more months, you know, they're just right there and they just need a few more months for things to click in. We're hoping for things like they'll be working pretty much right from the beginning, and that they'll be able to save back for their first 3 months of living on their own. But even when they leave us after 12 months, we want to support them when they're in the community too. So it's not like the police. We'll make jokes about it being the police. We're coming to check to see if you've paid your bills, if the house is, you know, we're teachers, so we just have fun with all this too. So with the turnaround time, probably a year.
Thank you very much. That's, again, I applaud you for your sincerity. And so there certainly is a need. It's overwhelming. These people, as someone earlier mentioned, they have they were raised with no parents around, or bad image of a parent, or experience with parents, and they really have no idea how to act. They get it back out on the street.
They don't know how to put it all together, do they?
It's a challenge. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Cry. Well, that concludes that. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming today. I didn't mean for it to be intimidating, but I appreciate your being here. Thank you. All right, continuing on. Next, we have the Caring Place. Who are they? No, just kidding.
Corinne Freeman, Executive Director, to represent the Caring Place today.
Caring Place. One of the things that has been one of the benefits of being on the commission for me is I've learned about the Caring Place. I didn't know you guys until I got on here, and we've done some things already before. Corinne, let's see in my order here that Lori's got. Commissioner Mason is first.
Well, thank you for coming. You get to see the Caring Place building. It's beautiful. I get to see it every day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, ready to come out of there.
Yeah, we're excited to be neighbors with you guys over there. I think it's going to be a good synergy and partnership with Sheriff Lawson.
It's going to be beautiful. I was an SRO about 10 years ago. I'm going back on my,
I want to hold on a second.
yes, I remember your daughter very well.
Yes. Yes.
But sack packs, that was
Mhm.
one thing I would have to go out and investigate, kind of look and see about the homes. I had to go in those
Mhm.
homes that were not deserving. Talk about that a little bit, because I know the sack pack, a lot of people don't know about the sack packs, but they go to all of our elementary schools, and I love that idea of
So-
that.
So that's a program that we have that actually falls under our food programs at the Caring Place, one of our 4 programs. And it is a program designed to address childhood food insecurity. And so we partner with the Briley County Schools as well as E.L. Ross Elementary. And we do provide 700 bags of food per week to those children currently. They're identified by the school system as being at risk of food insecurity, and that goes home with them. So that's a way that we can kind of help to strengthen the families with that through the organization. Now that is, of course, separate from this particular grant request, but that is one of the programs that we offer because we want to make sure that we're addressing that need within our community.
Talk about the 100,000 that you're
Mhm.
wanting for.
So this particular request is to help strengthen our case management program. We have also, as everyone in our community has seen, the increase of impact of the opioid epidemic that's really been building. I used to work several years ago now, but within crisis care for those who were going through detox services. And then I remember that was the communication, is that, that was over 15 years ago now, and we were saying this is going to hit really hard soon because we were seeing that increase. And we're seeing that now. We've lost a lot of our neighbors to fentanyl overdoses that we've worked with. And so this funding is designed to target more strategically to partner those individuals who are currently in recovery. I do want to be really clear, you have a couple different agencies that are different points of the continuum of care. We are falling under the recovery side, so we are not a treatment program or transitional program such as Dream Center would offer or Foundation Health would offer, nor are we necessarily prevention services, although the argument can be made that if you keep somebody in recovery, you might be preventing the generational cycle of addiction. So with that, we want to be able to partner with the participants to be able to get them to stability. So I'll give you kind of an example of what that might look like. Say we get a referral from Tenova Behavioral Care. That is a unit here locally, the hospital unit, that somebody experiencing a mental health disorder or a substance use disorder would go in for short-term crisis treatment. They would leave that facility in about 3 to 4 days, and we often get calls from their case managers that that person might be leaving to an unstable situation. They may either not have housing, they might not have stable housing, they may be staying in a house that has a lot of drug activity, a lot of usage in that home that's not going to really help their recovery process. We would then take that person, assess them for fit to make sure our professional case managers would meet with them to make sure that it's good alignment. They might need a different type of treatment approach. We may not be the best fit. So we assess that first. If we are a good fit and we feel like we can help to partner with them, we would enroll them within the services, and they would be considered part of this track within our case management program. We would then work with them to build a stability plan that we would then meet with them every month to make sure we would look at progress, we'd problem solve and look at solutions for potential barriers, and we'd celebrate success to kind of encourage that moving forward. So with that 100,000 funding that was proposed, that would cover that case management interaction, and I can speak more to that if we have questions on how that is rolled out. It is also going to cover their ability to participate in job training. We also partner often with City Fields. They do an amazing job for career connection, and we would want to continue to funnel there. Sometimes folks in recovery aren't quite ready for those classes just yet, so we would like to offer kind of a supplemental step for this particular track so that they could actually work on site with us for a stipend, and that would actually cover that so that they could have some income coming in, but also really focusing on soft skill development so that they're transitioning well around a support system. Our case management team would be there. They would be able to learn valuable job skills within our facility. Our new facility is going to be set up like a store, so they're going to be able to do customer service training. They're going to be able to do inventory training. They're going to be able to do computer skill training. We do that now with CSEP program. That program's transitioning, but it's another job training program. So we're modeling it with that. So that individual who comes to us from Tenova might have a case management plan that looks like you're going to come and work with us for 2 days a week. You're going to go to your outpatient treatment over at Volunteer Behavioral Health for 3 days a week. We're going to provide you with a bus pass to make sure you can get everywhere you need to go, so there's no barrier to transportation. And we're also going to connect you with Caris Healthcare for kind of pay that $25 fee there so that you have ongoing physical health care as well. We work that plan with them, establish goals, and then work with them until they are reach that point of stability within that. They may also choose to go through our Getting Ahead program, and I can speak more to that as well. But I know I'm trying not to make too long. I'll
got
keep
plenty of
talking.
time.
So, but yeah, so,
You're
but
good.
I'm happy to speak more about how that peer-based program works as well. That's to build stability.
Friend, thank you for your time and your team.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason. Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Corinne. How are you today?
I'm well.
Thank you for being here. So you currently are doing the getting ahead in recovery and future story case management service, correct?
We are. So there's a current program.
How many clients have you helped this year through that? Just off the top of your head.
So broad case management or specifically the Getting Ahead program?
The getting ahead.
So that program has served roughly this year about 40 participants. So we've had about 3 to 4 cohorts. We just graduated our 4th cohort. That's about 10 individuals per, so about 40 individuals.
And as a part of that program, are you currently providing housing stability, moving costs, childcare costs, and all of that as a part of that?
It's not. This would be an expansion of that because we recognize that those who are in recovery, especially when it's early within those stages, if they've just come out through recovery court, they have had a lot more barriers. So that's why this particular one would kind of be a smaller set of individuals, but a lot more flexibility of funding for stability. That program currently does provide housing stability directly. We do provide transportation costs. We do partner with Caris, but the child care portion and things like that are not necessarily in there. To clarify, for complete transparency, we do have funding from the state that provides those items. But those have other eligibility requirements that have limited some of this population from being able to access those. So this funding would actually fill a gap that currently that would help us to focus more on individuals experiencing who are experiencing a substance use disorder and currently in recovery.
Okay. And of the $100,000 that you are requesting, only 10,000 of it would go toward case management. Is that correct?
Yes. And to clarify with that, so I've not structured that in the terms of direct payroll. That is based on a per unit cost. So that is the interaction because the difficulty, it's not difficulty, but it's just the reality is in these types of programs, you can't offer the service without a staff member.
Correct.
So you can't provide education without an educator. You can't provide management without a case manager. But I did structure that because we do have other funding for our case managers. This would be per unit cost. So it's a little bit easier to track for you guys as to which individuals were receiving what service for that case management with this grant.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Corinne.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater. Go to Commissioner Winters. You're recognized.
I'm intrigued about the state gaps you're talking about. Tell us.
So we currently, we currently do have 2 programs that we are funded through from the THDA, which I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but this is somewhat why we did not apply for the opioid grant. They have had a lot of delays in funding, and so being able to get that flowing, that cash flow flowing, and their eligibility is restricted based upon income and homelessness status. So if we have somebody who's experiencing, and this has happened where we've had individuals who may have went through a recovery court, been successful, got a great job while they went through there and were through a connection with City Fields, their income puts them over the bracket for those programs for stability. But they're still in that ALICE population that we talk about a lot with United Way. So there's just a little bit of gap there. So they're not quite enough in need for that program, but they do still have a need for some support and to walk alongside them for that long-term recovery. So that's what we're looking at, and that's why I'm trying to really focus and target these funds on those in recovery.
How will you target the families or persons that you're working with? How will you target them? And do you need new personnel to deal with these students or people, or how do you?
For the first implementation of that, I don't think that we will need to expand our personnel. That may come if we see a lot of success and we see a lot of impact. That may be for down the road where we would want to look at that. Currently, it would be part of our existing case management services, and so the individual we're working with may not realize what track they're on, but we would know that internally as a team of what kind of where we're aligning with them at. And for this particular one, we are going to concentrate 3 different referral sources. One would be walk-in. We have that throughout all of our case management programs that they can walk in and request. But we are going to again, keep using that word for targeting. So we would prefer that these come through referral from Tenova Behavioral Health, which again, we partner with often, and also the Recovery Court with Judge Andrew Freiberg.
So will these be recurrent costs? You'll need 100,000 each year for several years, or how do you see that? Or your program will grow to a point you can get on?
That would depend on this. I'm applying for this as a pilot. And so this, if there is a lot of success for this and it grows, then that likely would open up some other funding opportunities that we could expand this. However, because it's targeted to Bradley County only, that's going to be a little, some of the sources are going to have to expand our services. So at this point, I would say yes, this would be probably a recurring cost if we want to keep it to this type of focus.
Tell me again, your referrals will come from where?
Both internally from walk-in, although that would be a small portion, from Tenova Behavioral Health, from their crisis care unit, and then also from the Recovery Court with Judge Andrew Freiberg.
Being realists here, we're talking a lot of need for little money.
Yes.
Do you see stepping stones that you can take? You don't get 100,000, you get 35,000, or you get 25, and you can start.
Yeah,
Right
and
there,
I
do you
did
see
because you have a lot of really wonderful organizations who are asking you for funding, and they
Sure.
are all doing a really valuable work. So do not envy your seat in that. But because of that, I did give kind of like a reflection. If we were awarded at 50% of the original cost of that, it would mean a lower number of participants. So our outcomes are going to look a little different. If we're lowered more than that, then it would probably look at more just basic supports. We would not, again, see that target number. It would really go to maybe paying like a one-time assistance, or the stability supports would just maybe not be as wraparound and comprehensive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Winters. Adam, I believe your question was answered. And we go to Commissioner Alford. Commissioner Alford, you're recognized.
We will revisit that in 2024 when they open again, but just for this particular season, we decided it would not be a good fit for us now.
As understood, you said that there wouldn't be any more administrative or additional staff people required on this $100,000. Looking at your program, it looks quite extensive. In other words, you're going to deal with a lot of subjects. How do you plan on maintaining, or who keeps up with all the bookkeeping, the monies, and all that? Because it looks to me like it could be a headache for someone.
Yeah, so we actually have all of those services currently in place somehow, and we've had cleared financial audits for 3 years running. So we get annual, so we already have those financial processes and controls in place. We have separation of financial duties. We have receipt and reimbursement and grant funding. So we have that structure set up into our case management system currently, and have for a number of years. So I can detail that out. I'm happy to do that, but we do have that process in place and have proven for that to be working and viable and meeting all the standards.
So basically keeping up with it within the case management area.
Yeah, so the case manager, we have a check request process. So case manager does the services, recommends the need. That's staffed by a team. Whatever is approved then goes into a check request. It gets reviewed by another team member to make sure it's an allowable expense, submitted in for payment, checks written, checks issued. Then I review receipts every month.
I'll ask the same question I've asked all of them. Do y'all address peer pressure within your groups?
Yes. So, and you may be surprised by that because we're not education, but healthy relationships, boundaries, codependencies, those always come up in case management. So, so we talk about how can we connect you to something that's going to be helping you to continue positive habits, continue positive outcomes. What kind of groups can we plug you into? So we look at partnering them. We actually have with Public Church. We're restarting that kind of dwindled in COVID, but we're restarting an ally program so that they can partner with somebody to build social capital, connections within the community. We try to look and partner with them area churches that we might be connected with. We have over 60 church partners. So we look at, groups that they can get connected with, volunteerism, things like that. So
looking and listening to everyone, it seems you might be another one that be overwhelmed with the numbers. Are y'all requiring a certain criteria for you to get into y'all's program, or is it?
They would have to be a Bradley County resident, and they would have to be have a substance use disorder diagnosis that we would then verify with a treatment provider. If they walked into us, then we would have to get that verification. If it came as a referral from Recovery Court or from Tenova, then that would already be in place. And this would be a process of, I mean, we're not going to be able to serve everybody. So even at the fully funded request, we're not going to be able to serve everybody in the community. So we would be limiting it. And so if we enrolled at one time, so that 50 individuals served is over a year time. So if we have an enrollment of 10 individuals that we are currently working with, that means we could not accept a new referral until those individuals have reached a point of stability where they can exit from that case management piece.
Do you have any idea how long that would take? I know it's questionable
Just-
one way or the other, but how long you might have them in your services before you could take some new ones?
Typically, it's 3 to 4 months. So it kind of is a step-down process. When we start with somebody, we're meeting with them more frequently to kind of get the assessment and things like that done. Once that case management plan is built, then we're only meeting with them once a month. So it kind of rotates out that we have that full caseload. So that we'll exit somebody around month 3, add somebody in, so we kind of keep that caseload full throughout the year.
If a person's not following your case facilities or your situation, what's the consequences?
So we have a grievance and termination policy that they sign upon enrollment. And so they actually, they have expectations. It's informed consent, simpler if you went to a counseling or other services. And so we actually outline, here's the expectations from you, here's the expectations from us. If they're not meeting those expectations, we discuss with them the potential consequences that are coming up for that. And then we can terminate services if they're not moving forward based upon compliance with expectations. I'm not going to penalize somebody because they have obstacles or because they're struggling, but we also can't have somebody on the caseload who's not engaging with us, who's not coming to appointments, who's not making use of the resources. If they're not ready for that at that moment, then we'll continue to serve them with our food and clothing services, with basic case management, but we're going to open that spot up for somebody else who's more at that point of readiness.
This is a little bit offline, but I presume the food and carrying and passing out food and so
Yes.
forth.
Mhm.
Used to, they monitored it all by, you kept them in your computer.
Charity
and
check, yes.
and like words,
Mhm.
my wife used to work a little bit with Carrying Place, and it got to a point, one family would hit y'all one day and go hit a church the next day or something, and double up on their food sources and things. Y'all got that pretty well under control, I think.
So we do really, we do utilize charity checks so that we can see that. Although we really are trying to approach it from, again, a strength-based collaborative approach. So if we come in and there's a neighbor that comes to us for services and we see that they had just went to another church partner the day before, then we wanted to talk with them about what that means. Does that mean that their stamps or their SNAP benefits maybe got canceled unexpectedly? Maybe they had some time off from a shutdown at work that they didn't know was going to happen. And maybe they just have a lot of need that week, but not all the time. But we definitely want to connect with them and see. That exact situation happens on occasion, and our case managers can connect with them, or our volunteers might talk with them, and we realize that it is a short-term need that needs to be met. So we actually encourage them, okay, we'll go to this food bank and this, and make use of those resources for this time-limited process. Also, let's help you get your utilities taken care of so that when you return to work after this unexpected shutdown, you'll be on track and you won't fall behind. Other times it might be a matter of education for that individual that, if you're going here and you're coming here the next day, actually you realize you can go once a week to each. So you're going to stretch your resources better if you can utilize it in this way. So that charity check system allows us to open up a conversation about leveraging our resources wisely and being able to make sure that we're, again, moving from a point of instability, a point of survival, to a point of thriving, because that's our goal. We want individuals to get to that point of thriving. We want them to get to where they don't need us anymore. I will celebrate the day that I'm not needed anymore. So that will be a wonderful day. So, but for now, we do the best we can and try to make sure we get them connected correctly.
One last question. All of y'all are doing basically the same in general. You're working with kids and young adults and so forth. And so, is there any way that, I guess, cross-referencing that Bridges is working the same kid you're working with? Do y'all share information that you're not trying to talk to the same people all the time?
Yeah, so we do, again, that collaborative piece comes in there. So we make sure that when we are doing the assessment, we're asking the families what other community resources, what other agencies are you partnered with. So if that family is working with the Boys and Girls Club, for example, and we actually had this situation where we had a family that wasn't returning because they were concerned about the fees. And we're like, wait a second, the Boys and Girls Club is amazing to work with about stuff like that. So it was just a matter of being able to connect them with that and be able to kind of align that the best. With children, I will say that unless that's reported or disclosed, we don't have the ability to information share with school systems and things like that, just because of the confidentiality. But we do have that part of our assessment process, and we are requesting that information so that, again, we can leverage and build those resources and help people move forward as quickly as possible.
Do the rest of y'all do something similar to this where you're not cross-referencing with the young people, bridges and so forth? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I have capacity to track how many children that Sandra's seen every time. So yeah. But I mean, we work with Suzanne, and Suzanne utilizes those same systems. Mm-hmm. So, mm-hmm. Yeah. Jared's crew came and put a fence line in to protect our storage containers. So yeah. Thank you. Mhm.
Thank you, Commissioner Alford. Well, being the last one to ask questions, all my questions got pretty much addressed.
Yeah.
I will
Teamwork.
say we worked with you on the art funding, I believe, for rent assistance.
It
I
was
believe.
rent. Mm-hmm.
You did a fantastic job on that. I got a chance to visit your facility on that. So, that was the question I was kind of gearing towards was, I know, when we did the art money, I think Community Center, United Way, Habitat, City Fields, and it was at that time I learned how you guys all have your own little piece of the puzzle on solving affordable housing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so this is very similar. There's a continuum of care, and you have some agencies who are doing the prevention, education.
Well, I get it. I mean, the ATS The Bridge and the Boys Club are more, if you had a line, they're more on like hoping that kids never ever get on drugs. You're on the side that they did, unfortunately, and now we're trying to.
They're adults.
Yeah, and adults, they did, and they've gone through rehab, or not to be disrespectful, but and now you're trying to transition them over to productive citizens of society, so to speak. So it's the two pieces to this right here. So working with the other organizations, which you've done already, you talked about your funding sources. I did, when you were answering, I believe, this is a pilot, you said.
So I am approaching it this way because of the how we are really targeting it being only on individuals for recovery, to kind of see what resources work best, what alignment works best for them. So that list of services in your packets is fairly comprehensive. We're going to be evaluating which one of those are helpful and which one is not, so that we can really streamline and kind of see, okay, what is the impact if we had all of these services? Did we see better outcomes with this group as opposed to the other group who went through our programming? So that we can so the pilot is because of that, again, eligibility criteria of having to be in recovery and the expanded use of services within that group.
Right. And you see so many people that have so many different needs. Some just need, when I was there, to, a day or two meals and stuff like that, and then some rent assistance because, that was also during the end part of COVID as well and stuff like that. So you're going to have to identify, I mean, this is for those who unfortunately were on drugs. Or,
Yes, yeah.
So I don't know.
Substance use disorder. Who is experiencing a substance use disorder.
Right.
Yes.
And then you see people who, that's not their issue.
Right.
They're just hungry or they need a place to stay. So you're going to have to decipher that and how to help them, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, yeah. And that's really part of our process is in place for that, of being able to identify and assess what the needs are and what the best recommended program for them to engage in. We keep our services, so the neighbor that applies for us may not necessarily realize all the behind the scenes that will happen for their case, but each assessment that we complete, we're then looking at, is this a good fit for general case management? Is this a good fit for Housing United with the United Way? Is this a good fit? So, or can we just help and have you come more often for food until you get your financial situation stable, and that's really all you need right now. So we have that process on the front end. So this funding would actually happen once they've established that it's the best program fit for them.
Thank you as well. Chairman Cry.
Thank you very much. I like Commissioner Blake. I'm fairly familiar with your organization. I as I recall, you said you're involved with the school lunch program.
We are. So we're not lunch programs. So we offer the Stack Pack program, and that is one of the programs that Care in Place provides for Bradley County. And so
Well,
that is a weekend feeding program.
So that's what I'm in particular. In the weekend program, do get involved in.
Yes. Yeah. So
Right.
we're
I have-
actually the only provider for the Bradley County school systems is for us.
I have spoken to several young children. That's the only food they get for the weekend. Fortunately, the rest of the family eats out of it. They don't get that much of it. Thank you for certainly doing that. The other point I wanted to make, everything else has been covered here, but the Karis program here, that's one of the least known organizations that I've seen in Bradley County that does so much good for people. And I don't know why there's not any more publicity. But it's designed for poor people that can't get medical, dental work. And stuff. Thank you very much for utilizing.
Yeah, so they're a wonderful partner. They do amazing work. They've got a great, talented professional team over at Karis, and it really is addressing a need for medical and dental care in our community. So that partnership has worked really wonderful for our neighbors.
You take a lot of these young people that have been on drugs, their dental work, sad. It's a good opportunity for them, and I mentioned this to some of the other organizations that haven't looked into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed working with you.
Appreciate it. Same. Thank you.
Okay, continuing on. Next is the Foundation House Ministries. And you had the documentation in our packet here for them. And Commissioner Winters will start with the questionings. Commissioner Winters, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I remember when Foundation House began and your meetings with many of us in the community as you started. And
That's
congratulations on
Thank you.
a great program that you have. You're saying that you will need $50,844 to support 6 additional mothers, their dependent children. You list that. First of all, tell me, I know you've gone over this, sir.
Administrative thing. I need you to tell me your name for the record. Huh?
Suzanne Burns, Foundation House Ministries.
Yes, Suzanne, welcome. You will use the $50,844. Just outline again for us what you will do, and secondly, how will ladies in this situation be referred to you? How will you get the group? So, what will you be doing with that? Will you need a new person to join you, or will it be part of that? So,
Yeah, it's probably easier for me to start with the second question first.
yeah, sure.
So we get clients, so we've been open now 9 years. We get clients from a wide range of locations. We're actually the only maternity home within 150 miles. So we get referrals from all the counties around us, including across state lines.
Yeah.
However, for this grant, we would be specifically focused here in Bradley County.
Right.
We get referrals from Recovery Court. We actually just moved in one client on Friday who's a direct referral from Judge Freiberg from Recovery Court. We have another one who's already in the house from Recovery Court. We also get referrals from the Department of Children's Services, from Labor and Delivery here at Tenova, from other local agencies such as the Caring Place, and New Hope Pregnancy Care Center is also another one that we partner with quite frequently. So churches, anyone who comes across a young woman who is either pregnant and homeless or with a very small child and in a home unstable environment. And so what we do with those services is we, as Corinne said, we assess. We figure out exactly what each woman needs, because we provide both residential and non-residential services. And not every mom needs housing, but sometimes she needs other layers of support. So we provide classes in coping skills, in healthy relationships, in helping them get their education completed. 70% of our clients come in without a GED or high school diploma, so that's oftentimes one of the things on our list. So from there, we're also looking at parenting. We're looking at addiction recovery. If she comes to us in active addiction, our first step is going to be sending her to a local detox organization. We are not a medical facility, but then we will work with her through her time there and provide kind of outside case management beyond the case management that's happening there within that organization. And then she's eligible for our services once she graduates that program. In fact, we currently have a client in a detox program that we're holding a bed for once she graduates next week.
So you will give them a home to go to?
Yes, we provide housing for mothers and their children in crisis.
Yeah. So they can get, if they're detoxing, you get detoxed, then you come and then you have your program with them?
Exactly, right. Once they graduate that program, then she's eligible to come into ours. We provide 100% of her transportation, food costs, classes and case management, as well as the addiction recovery pieces while she's building towards sustainable stability. That's
So
our goal.
Are these six people coming on board, adding to the number already there, or you
Yes.
consider those a part of what you already
This
have?
would be in addition to what we already are doing, yes.
So the 50,044, you're asking 844, would do the program you're providing here and then providing continually what you're already doing. for
Exactly,
those
yeah.
in the-
It would expand us significantly in terms of the number of clients we can serve without having to increase our staffing.
Super. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Winters. Adam's gonna ask you about applying for state funding.
Do you have plans or have you already applied?
We have, yes, but because we're the only program within 150 miles, our specific request to the state was for those other counties to expand beyond. We have the location here in Bradley County, and we also have a location in Ottawa, partnering with Ottawa Baptist. And so the state request focused on the other counties here in Southeast Tennessee.
All right, and Commissioner Alford, you're recognized.
This additional 6 clients, would that fill your house up, or would you need more housing, or where? Because how many are you presently have in your program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we currently have 10 acres with 2 houses, and we would absolutely love to add additional housing on the property that we already have. Currently, we have 7 bedrooms for clients. We like to keep them in individual bedrooms wherever possible, but this would allow us to double up. So without having to add additional buildings. One of the things that we would love to be able to do is add some transitional housing so that as our girls graduate on, they have someplace to go that's a little bit more affordable than the current housing situation right now. But for the purposes of this grant, we would not be adding any additional housing. We already have sufficient. It's mostly helping us cover the added expenses of those additional mothers and their children.
Would you also have to add administrative type people to care for that number of people?
No, we already have sufficient staff. What we would be adding would definitely be some additional volunteers for sure, but also providing the additional costs for things like transportation, childcare. That's definitely a significant piece, and then also our job training program. So this grant would fund some positions through our job training program. It's roughly a 90-day process. For the first 30 or so days, they are earning vouchers that are spendable as if they were real dollars in our thrift shop. And then after that, then they are employed with real dollars, and building them towards a long-term lasting career. So what we have found is all too often our moms come in and many of them have never worked legally. They also don't have their GED or high school diploma. They have criminal charges. They have an addiction history, and they're 6-7 months pregnant. So it's very difficult to get them gainful employment in the first place, but really it's very difficult for them to qualify for gainful employment. So we're providing a job where they really can't get one, but we're also using that as a teaching opportunity to teach them those employability skills, like Corinne said, especially those soft skills of, customer service, of how to be a team player, how to build a career for women who all too often have never worked at all.
Do y'all primarily deal with teenagers, or you go up to a certain age, or?
Yeah, actually, so we serve, in the house, we only serve women 18 and over. So that enables us to avoid state licensure if we took minors. In our non-residential program, we do also work with minors too.
Thank you.
All right, check my list here of who's next. Oh, I'm next. So you mentioned that you've been doing this for 9 years, or
Yes,
the
sir.
organization, not you. Now, I'm gonna
Yes,
ask,
me. I'm the founder.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
we have been open 9 years. Yes.
Very good.
Thank
good.
you.
And I'm I hate to say it, I'm not familiar with you. But I want to ask more of an abstract question. Since 9 years, you have a lot of experience on this whole issue of getting into drugs and stuff like that. What are you seeing as far as the trends of going? I mean, we came through COVID in 1920 and whatever that kind of and when I see the news and the media and stuff, it seems like it's the new drug now is fentanyl that we've talked to Sheriff Lawson about and his people. It was opioids or meth or whatever. So just a few words. Where are we going with all this? I mean, I just appreciate your take on it. Having 9 years of experience on it.
Yeah, that's a large question.
Okay.
So really and truly, we are seeing a significant increase in drug usage at every level of society. We were seeing it before the pandemic, but that really exacerbated things in a tremendous way. And so we are seeing not only a heavy meth usage and heavy opioids, but also as the crackdown with doctors and pharmacists have tackled the opioid addiction issues, we're seeing them shift to fentanyl and carfentanil and things that are even that much worse. So there's we're incredibly inventive in creating new ways to help ourselves heal, to help ourselves solve problems. And one of the things that we've discovered in the almost 10 years that we've been open is that all too often the addiction, the drug usage started as the original solution to the real problem, which is their unresolved trauma, the pain of abuse, of neglect, of violent homes that they grew up in. And so the drug usage helped them to survive, helped them to forget, at least for a little while. And at a certain point, our bodies become immune to that level, and we have to then take more and take more and take more just to achieve that same level of oblivion, of ability to manage. And so that's why we see the increase in drug usage, which then grows into addiction. And all too often, when people are maybe incarcerated, and so they're maybe clean for 6 months because they were in jail, they were forced clean. They did not choose that themselves. So too many times when they then leave jail or rehabs, they immediately go back into the streets, back to that same level of drug usage that they had been doing before, and that frequently is what does cause their death, because their bodies have begun to heal from that level, but their minds haven't. So we talk a lot in our recovery programs about emotional addiction as well as physical addiction. Once our girl comes out of rehab next week, she will no longer be physically addicted, but the mental and emotional responses are still very much there. And those are the pieces we begin to work on very quickly.
I know I'd asked a very abstract question.
I love it.
I'm new to. You have one in your documentation. 97% of the graduates maintain their stability for at least 1 year post-graduation. Nearly 80% are still maintaining their personal level of stability, sustainable stability at 4 years or more. How do you? I don't doubt the numbers. I just want, how do you keep track of that? That's wonderful news. I mean, I'll take that any day.
We just keep texting them.
So you maintain.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're part of our families.
You don't just say, go forth and do well. right?
No, they're part of our babies. They're with us forever. We stay with them on Facebook or Instagram, TikTok. We keep messaging them. We get messages from them with school baby pictures and things like that. For many of them, they are family has been mentioned, but already. But many of these girls don't have family. Or if they do, that family is also in active addiction. We deal too often with second and third generation addicts in our moms. So grandmother to the baby that she's carrying and great-grandmother are also both in active addiction. So for many of our girls, we're the only ones that are going to care about school picture day or the first day of kindergarten, things like that. So we're the ones who get those calls. We're the ones she calls when she doesn't understand why potty training just won't work. We're the ones she calls when she needs a mama.
So after 9 years, you've obviously had some funding and sources of funding. Your request 50,000. It's fair to say that this just increases the number of people that you can support. Nothing really new. It's just programs that you already have in place that are working very well with your statistics. You can take on more, and that's where you put in your 6 more moms and stuff.
Yep,
like that.
absolutely.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let me go to my list here. It is Commissioner Mason. You are recognized.
I think all my questions were answered to that. How many? And thank you for what you do. Volunteers and workers. How many would you think?
So we have on staff. Technically we have 5. Well, technically we only have 3 staff. We also have 2 AmeriCorps Vistas, and so they carry a fair amount of the bulk of our day-to-day work. But as far as volunteers go, we definitely average about 25 to 30 on a consistent basis throughout the month. That's not counting like church groups or league groups that will come to the property and do landscaping work or sorting in the thrift shop, things like that.
Thank you. I'll have Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason. Commissioner Slater, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here today. How many of the clients that you currently have or that you've had this year that are in your home have opioid addiction?
100%.
All of them?
Mm-hmm. All of them. Several of the children have been removed because they were born with drugs in their system, and so that's why the girls are now with us.
And you have other sources of funding that you currently have?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have a board of directors?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater. Chairman Cry.
Thank you very much. Most of my potential questions have been answered. I'm familiar with your program through the Rotary Foundation.
Yes.
Thank you for the work.
Thank you.
Any other questions around town? Yeah, Commissioner Winters.
How many ladies have you worked with over 9 years? What's your total population?
We've served through residents, we've served over 120 moms, and through our non-residential support services, we've served over 600. Thank you. Thank you. This is Morgan is here. She's one of our graduates and also one of our AmeriCorps Vistas.
I just
Please.
say something real fast if it's
Please,
okay.
please.
So I came in as a client
But
3
before
years
you do,
ago.
can I get your name and your full?
Oh, Morgan Stevenson, Foundation House Ministry.
Thank you.
I came in as a client 3 years ago.
Mhm.
I had lost custody of my daughter. I had almost 10 years of drug addiction as my history. I stayed at Foundation House. I still live there after getting custody of my daughter back. I've worked for over a year and a half there. I can just personally say, in my opinion, with me being the housing supervisor there, I didn't want to leave. There's something about this program that it has all of these pieces in place. We have the education and the classes. We have the transportation to and from, doctor appointments, classes, IOPs, everything. Me and another staff member are also peer recovery specialists. So the girls are taking what they're learning in classes and their goals that they're getting in case management, and they come back to the house, and you're not just learning about that stuff in a classroom or from someone else. You're actually learning how to apply it in your life every day, 24/7 at the house. And there's a lot of discussion going on there. And I decided to stay because I saw a piece of it that, like I said, you're taking everything you're learning and you're actually putting it into practice. You're having to rewire your brain, not just filling it with new information, but becoming a different person. You're learning all these different ways of how to be and how to live, and you can hear about it, but actually putting it into practice in your life is a whole different thing. So with my piece, it's amazing being able to talk with these girls and to encourage them and motivate them, and we're really able to get in there deeper with them. Foundation House was really able, with as much time, living there on the property. It's a very meaningful program. We have all of the pieces, and that's why we have such a high success rate. You don't just get these few pieces for a few hours of the week. You're immersed. You're immersed in it, and we make it to where it's a happy, positive thing. But it's really not most of the time. With me, I used to be that person coming out of addiction and having trauma and all kinds of stuff. It's hard, it can be very difficult living in a house, but we have the high success rate because we're all wanting to grow and to just be better. So I just wanted to say that I had the urge to.
Well, thank you for your
Let you guys
test.
know we're awesome.
Yeah, thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it, and congratulations on being successful. You and your daughter. That's great news. So also thank you for your time and your application on here. Right. That is the opioid fund on our agenda. Thank you all again. I promise you, I don't mean for it to be intimidating. It's just, as I said before, we have a funding request, and then the amount that the state has is, we're going to have to, as Kareen said, sharpen our pencils and come up with something, because if it was me, I'd give you all of it right here. We'd have a little checkbook right here, but it's not. So thank you again. You'll be hearing from me or Lori here pretty soon. If you have any questions for me or Lori or any of us, use Lori. She keeps track of all of our communications, or vice versa. Yeah, please.
Before you leave, we are very blessed to have the services that you provide to our community. All of you are faith-based. All of you not only use your skills, you bring faith in the midst of it. So thank you very much for all that you do. I think I speak for everybody that's heard what you've said today and what's gone out to the public. We're proud of you and proud of what you do. And you will receive rewards that are great later on when you leave this life. Congratulations to you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Winters. All right. You're more than welcome to stay, but we're going to talk about water now. Okay. As you know, we back in the summer set September 30th is the deadline for applications for the water money that we appropriated in the ARP money. That deadline is come and gone. Lori has done a fantastic job. Thank you, Lori, as always, of compiling a sheet for us with the projects and the data elements that we would need. I think we need to revisit, because it's been a while since we chatted about the water projects. We've had some, is that we decided, for the most part, mimic what HCI has been doing water projects for quite some time, since I came on the commission. Obviously not this kind of numbers, though. And their criteria was a little bit different. Residents paid a part of the project with HCI. We eliminated that piece during the ARP money, but it does still require the utility companies to participate. And in the one or two that we've done already, they have done that. So we have this list right here, and what we're going to do today, we're going to basically make a recommendation to the full commission from the Finance Committee on recommendation for funding of these projects. I was looking through this, and I know you guys have had this first thing is I think there's some on here that do not meet the criteria for whatever reason. I think, and back to the HCI. HCI is for residents that have a well that the well is either dry, we had that, or contaminated. And so that was part of the criteria as well. And the utility companies participated in the funding project at a different percentage at that time with HCI. We stopped HCI while we were doing this, and once this is finished up, we'll go back to HCI, which will probably be in the next year, the 24-25 budget. All right. So Lori, I'm going to ask her to help us with those. Well, you can see right here, if you look at column, what is it, column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, column 6, where it's titled utility contribution. Those that the utility companies made a decision not to participate are automatically, from our criteria point of view, eliminated. Please. Adam, help me with that. I looked at it about a month ago. The initial bucket, Lori, you still have that on your desk, the initial bucket? I think that's why I was getting ready to say 2 million, but that chart and it had the yellow in it or whatever. I believe it's 2 million, Commissioner Slater. And we've already funded, I'm sorry? Yeah, in the 6th District, Commissioner Mason, I believe that. What's the name of that road? Commissioner Mason, what was that? It was that Sugar Creek, yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, 200. Does your report or what you have there show what we've already? If it does, can you go down that real quick?
million.
170. Okay. Mm. Yeah, it seems low. And I get it's probably not for right now, but we'll revisit the Hawaii 1 million piece. I thought that 425. Lori, do you have this as well? If not, can we get it? I'm going to study that a little bit more. Yeah. Okay.
$125,000 to complete their project, then you could add that to the 239, 240.
Well, I'm at a disadvantage here. I'm trying to remember because there was one that we funded and Hawaii is a joint venture with McMinn County, and we basically split the cost on it.
Yeah, you had that, and that's not from this ARP funding.
That's
from
what
the
I thought.
state's ARP funding, the utility grant.
This is a
Correct.
totally additional Hawaii. All right. So right now, that's the number. What'd you say? 239.
That's
239.
Obviously, the Hiawassee utility funding is only earmarked. The other numbers that I gave you were what you've actually approved, and the projects and the dates that you approved of those.
Yeah. Right.
So this current.
I apologize. I don't remember the Hawaii project. That's it's not. They didn't apply. This isn't.
I don't have it in front of me, but I believe because the state took so long. If you remember last fall,
Yeah.
we were rushing to basically get those utilities.
Yeah, that's the November
approved
1
in time
deadline. The
for
November 1
application
deadline.
And then after the deadline and the application was submitted, they took 6 or 8 months to approve anything and get anything back to us or to the utility companies. And so as you can imagine, their costs went up in that amount of time. But again, I don't have it in front of me to justify the 425, but that's what I'm showing is left in the bucket.
Yeah.
If you account for the
I know.
425
So
as part of
probably-
that being spent.
And you go slow here, and correct me where I'm wrong. So, and everybody jump in whenever you want. But that November 1 deadline, that was the state and programs, so to speak. That was not the water bucket as we're talking about it now. And they came here that night. If I remember the gentleman, I asked him, what are they going to do with their money? And they were going to go from chlorine to blue or something like that. And that's a totally different set of money. I just don't remember 425 coming out of the water bucket. Right. Okay, but so it is. So it's still a request. I don't mean to interrupt you. But it's still a request at this point. Okay. So we or a portion of it, yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'm gonna say back to you because I make sure I got. It started off at $1 million, and now it's basically 1.4 million.
3.9.
Wait, no, the request from Hawaii. In addition to what number? So they okay. I think I get it now. And correct me. The totally separate bucket, right? But in order to do the project, they need an additional 425. That is your understanding. I'll take it as well. All right. Is that as clear as mud? I mean, so this. No. Well, the problem is, Commissioner Alford, is if that is an accurate number, but he didn't just dream it up. That affects whether or not we can do this. So I'm trying to dig in and understand it. So and this little marble head of mine, where that 25 for, maybe, Mayor, maybe you can help.
Welcome.
You might have come in just at the right time.
You might want to go back out.
Come
You
on
might
in.
want to go back out.
So welcome. Glad you-
Yeah. And that's kind of where I was thinking. We started at 3.9, right, and then but be patient, Mr. Offer, because if that 239 is even remotely close, I don't think it. Mayor, why is what's confusing me is, it was funded out of that state bucket. I always call it the state bucket.
It was, but it's always here too. It's in your budget.
Okay,
But back to your question, I
Yeah.
don't have the answer to your question, but you can do the math. That box is right, but it's 2 million that it started out. So subtract all those things off,
right.
and you'll have 1.2 million, I believe, from memory. I didn't come prepared to give you that answer, but
I apologize. Yeah.
huh? But did you come to 1.2 when you did it? Somebody do that.
Well, I was.
That's the revised. That's not in the last plan. You want me to go get the boxes?
Well, what I wanted to make sure is that we don't, because I was anticipating making a formal recommendation to the full commission so we could end the application for water. We were just at the point where eliminating those that don't qualify. And I had asked Adam, okay, or Commissioner Slater asked, how much do we have to,
That's not
appropriate
the right
today?
figure.
And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. In the last plan that you approved, that bucket was 2 million. So you subtract those 4 or 5 things off of the 2.
1.289.
Right.
There
Now
you go.
that box is wrong because you amended it Monday, so take another 3,000 off of that. But
Oh, well.
ballpark is 1.2.
Okay, thank you. That's what we're after. Okay. Scared. Okay, so Lori, and I'll make it worth your while.
I can't.
Those
Not been approved.
in the utility contribution column, you can see the Benker Road option 1, Benker Road option 2. We'll come back to those. The utility company is willing to participate in there, and you see those numbers right there. So that's not going to be eliminated yet, but you have options here. Bigsby Creek Road, they said that they're going to fully fund that one themselves, and Lori can tell you why they're choosing to do that later. Dry Valley Road Northeast Project 1, Cleveland Utilities is putting $18,750 in that one. Obviously, if there's a dollar amount in the column, they don't get eliminated this go around. Griffith Drive, Hannah Road, am I saying it right? Kersey. There's no number in there, so then you come to Kile Lake, Cleveland Utilities is willing to put 20,000. Lead Mine Valley Road 20,000. Then you get to Federal Road Southeast, Cleveland Utilities doesn't fund that one. Am I saying it right? Hollow Trail.
Al Hollow. Al and Hollow.
I drive it every day. I don't know why I don't know. Where is it? Oh, of course. Eastside Utilities is declined, so we draw a line through that one. Shannon Road and Trewhitt Road. Boy, which one was it that came in at the very last minute? Is that the Trewhitt Road? And utility companies, I'm not on that. So That's that. And then, they have to have an existing well with with complications, either it's dry or what have you. Lori, can you tell us which ones would fit that? Okay, so we'll take up and discuss Benker Road option 1, option 2 here in a second. So that's, I'm gonna put a little circle right here that's one we're gonna talk about, okay? But is they're on a well. Goodwin, I'm sorry. Second to the last one is that existing well. So, which one of these are developments? The homes don't exist yet, and they're applying for water. So technically, there's only one home that has a well that's not working. That's Drive Valley Road Northeast Project 1. Okay.
Says there are currently 5 houses on well water. The next step is future development of 272 acres with the possibility of serving 50-plus large tracts of land or up to 250 plus or minus home sites.
And that's Drive Valley Road. Okay, so Nathan. I'm drawing a line through Drive Valley Road Northeast Project 2. Kyle Lake Road Southeast, 3 homes and 2 large tracts. So, go.
Theirs is a well.
The 3 homes are well. That's fine. So Kile Lake Road we'll take up or we'll discuss. Lead Mine Valley Road, 1 home and 3 in process, 4 large parcels. And the county's portion is $26,750. So those are existing wells. Yep. Okay, doke. So what I have, and you guys correct me, Mayor, while you're here, do you have this as well? I apologize. I just want to, if you were keeping up with this, I wanted you to have it. The only ones we have here, and I'll make sure everybody's in the same sheet of music. Benker Road, option 1, and Benker Road, option 2, which we'll talk about here in a second. Drive Valley Road, Northeast Project 1. Kile Lake Road, Southeast, 124, and then Lead Mine Valley Road, and then Sims Goodwin Road. Those are the only ones that qualify. Is that everybody's understanding? Commissioner Off, Commissioner Winters, Commissioner Mason, Commissioner Lee? All right. So, the first one, Benker Road, option 1, option 2. They all have wells. So, Lori, why did they go with the option 1 and option 2, if you can recall? Oh. Oh. Yeah. 5 to 7 homes. I mean, I would think that they would know exactly how many homes. I mean,
build a lot.
Okay. All right, so
It's off of Frontage Road.
that's why they're including utilities. So, open floor on anybody on what you want. Benker Road, option 1, 94,000 to the county, and add an extra 60,000 and 5 to 7 homes. I'll look to the committee what you would like, what direction you'd like to go, Mayor, as well. Commissioner Winters, please.
You think if we go with option 1, they'll come back and want to do 2? Talking 2 homes and 5, 7 homes.
Because the wind is closed.
Mayor?
Just my 2 cents.
Please.
That's not a development. That is truly homes, even though they're not all saying they have bad wells. But you could look at it this way. I'm going to go down that road instead of going part of the way. Go ahead for the 154 and do the whole 7 homes, or make it possible for the 107
Which
homes.
would be consistent with how we've done HCI in the past.
That one's not bad. It's not a development. They're actually already there.
All right. So.
You ready for motion?
Yeah.
I move we do Benker Road, option 2.
We have a motion. We have a motion from Commissioner
Second.
Winters to go with Benker Road option 2.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussions on this particular one? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Lloyd, if you can keep track of that for me, I'd be forever in your debt. That takes care of.
He's been.
I apologize. Please come up. Please come up. I didn't.
Oh, I know I put an application on it. Was it denied?
Which one is it?
Which one is yours?
Griffith Drive. Oak Grove Rotary Club on Griffith Drive.
The Cleveland Utilities, according to, and Lori can help me, or I'm not gonna put her on a bad spot. Cleveland Utilities,
Service.
Cleveland, what does it say? Yeah, the Cleveland Utilities is not putting any money towards this project, which is a requirement
Oh,
for our funding piece of it.
oh, okay. Well, I didn't know any requirements further than the applications.
There-
That's why I'm here. I was just listening to see what.
Yeah, I
was-
apologize. I didn't mean to keep you waiting. I didn't.
no,
I didn't.
Waited through the whole
You, you deserve an award for patience,
Yeah,
but
you do, you do.
There's
but yeah, per our resolution, when we put the money into the funding, because we have HCI program, we've had it for years, and we kind of adopted it, except for the portion that was required by the resident. We felt that with federal money, would take that requirement out. With HCI, there is a requirement for residents, the owner of the parcel, to participate in the funding piece of it. But there was still a requirement from the utility company because they're getting as well. And Cleveland Utilities has declined to fund this project. So if it's kind of like they have to fund it or be willing to fund it in order for it to qualify for us.
okay.
Does that make sense? Is that probably not what you want to hear, but that's the requirement.
Well, the bottom line, yeah, I heard the bottom line, so
Bottom line is that, yeah.
yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next is Drive Valley Road Northeast Project 1 for $18,700 for one home. Drive Valley Road and Cleveland Utilities is willing to go 50% on this project because it's under 20,000. So, and that's definitely how HCI works, right? No, the 25%. Yeah. So actually, this Cleveland Utilities is actually going a little bit above and beyond what they normally do in HCI, but that's what I just said. Right. But it's still 50%. All right. Do I motion to either accept or deny this project? We are on Drive Valley Road Northeast Project 1. We have a motion from Commissioner Alford to accept Drive Valley Road Northeast Project 1. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Commissioner Slater, please.
The one we're voting on, Miss, is on the left-hand side of road. All the others on the right-hand side of the road.
You lost me. Correct. And I have a line through Drive Valley Road Northeast Project 2. Should I remove that? Because I thought it didn't qualify. Okay, I'm gonna ask the dumb question. If nobody lives in the house, who applied? Oh,
So no one's requested money for this particular house saying that their well's gone dry or gone bad. No, it's undeveloped property. End of story.
so it disqualifies per requirements.
Undeveloped
Are you just
property.
asking
don't
to be
qualify.
informed, or
They
do
just
you
want
want
us
to?
to
Okay.
subdivision.
So Drive Valley Road, Project 1, Project 2 has been eliminated per the requirements. Now we just have to decide whether or not Project 1 is what we want to fund. We have a motion and we have a second. From Commissioner Alford and Commissioner Mason. And we're in discussion. Commissioner Slater has the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0.
Can I ask a question before you
Please,
go on?
Mayor.
He's gone now anyway, but is that explanation correct on Griffith Drive? He already has service. There's just a problem. Okay. From the meter to the house. Yeah. I just thought y'all ought to know that if that was correct. That his problem isn't what we're addressing. So in case you were to be asked about it later, the gentleman that was here,
Yes, sir. Yeah.
he has a problem, I guess, but it's not access to water.
And
Sorry to go backwards,
no,
but
you're
I just thought
good.
we ought to
And-
explain that one.
And I was trying to make it easy for all of us, and I think the utility company chose not to even fund anything, which is also a
Because they
requirement.
don't, from their perspective, he doesn't have a problem. He may have a problem on the other side of the meter.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's,
Okay, so that is two that we funded so far, and Lori, I'm gonna ask you to keep a tally if you don't mind. 193. Thank you so much. You knew I was gonna ask, right? Right. All right.
193. Well, aren't you just totaling up our costs? The 154, 375? Okay, and then the 18,750. Not,
So we were doing Benker Road option 2.
yeah,
Okay.
option 2
I
and
say
then
so.
option 1 on Dry Valley.
So we can keep the numbers easy. 154 plus 18. All right. All right. Thank you. And going down our list here.
Hannah
Uh-oh.
Road must be very similar to
Can we
that
go
other
in?
one. He gives up
We'll
on
try
us.
to make it more exciting next time.
If I could jump in, Mylan, Hannah Road it says they have access, so it must be an issue sort of like Griffith Drive. It's not
Okay.
access to water issues, so that one's,
Right. And Mayor, we've already we drew a line
Right.
through Griffith, Hannah, and Kersey.
Right.
We're now on Kile Lake Road, and Cleveland Utilities is willing to put in 20,000. 3 homes and 2 large tracks on Kyle Lake Road. Our cost would be $124,500. So the question is going to be the same for all of these: are they all on a well? And they are. So question is do we want to fund this particular project with them?
can I ask a question on that one?
Please.
Maybe Lori will know. 3 homes and 2 large tracks. If that's my home and I have a large tract, You run water to my home, which is all we should do. But in a way, that gets it to those tracks. It gets it to my home. If I want to go on the other side of that field and build another house, I'll run my own line on over there. So is getting the water to my house on Kile Lake Road cost $144,000? Or is that going 3 miles down my road to those large tracks? I'm not looking at the map. I'm just to the homes, just to those 3 homes. Okay. So if you do it, you're providing water for the 3 homes only at this point, and if they decide to develop next year, then they can tap on and the cost will be on them.
So the 2 large tract information is kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, I wouldn't even put it there. It's 3 homes and 144,000.
But that's not what the letter says from Cleveland Utilities. It says, there appears to be 3 existing houses that would be served by the new water line. There are 2 additional lots and 1 large tract that would be served. That's the note from Cleveland
Well,
Utilities.
if that large tract is past the homes, then we're not spending money to those large tracts. But if those tracts came first, I guess then we are, but we're going to the homes. In my opinion, we don't want to be providing water for developers, but getting it to those homes.
Well, if you're getting into those homes and the benefit of it is, I mean, the first thing is getting it to the homes.
Right.
And if, by chance, it helps the developers, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if that's what we're doing here, then I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah.
But so it stops at that 3rd house. Okay.
All right.
Well, anytime you put water to a house, that's going to be the case. There's going to be some undeveloped property that now has access, but as long as you're not doing it for a development. That
All
one
right.
sounds like it follows your criteria, so it's up to you all.
So, Kyle Lake Road, what's the pleasure of this committee? You want? I have a motion from Commissioner Slater to approve Kyle Lake Road. I have a second from Commissioner Winters. Any further discussion?
So you're gonna build a subdivision there, right?
No, I don't think.
Oh, land, isn't it?
I have a motion and I have a second. Commissioner Alford, you look like you have a question. I mean, all you have to do is look like you have one these days, right?
I just got a bad
It probably will, but you're
feeling
going
that
to.
all the people involved in the topic. Any way we
Contaminated.
oh, they're
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. 43. Homes are right there.
That farm,
I'm sorry, Chairman Cry.
Dan Moore, Ben Moore's grandson, Ben Moore owned that farm, lived in that double wide, God bless his heart, that money. And, that farm will never be developed. It lies low, basically. It's in not a floodplain, but you couldn't build on it. It's not suitable. And he'll never sell that farm probably as long as he lives. I just wanted to add that to it. It's quite a few acres in there.
Thank you, Chairman Cry. All right, we have a motion and we have a second in order to fund Kyle Lake Road for $124,500. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Thank you, Lori.
I didn't total it, so I said.
Lead Mine Valley Road Southwest for 26. Our county's cost is 20. The Cleveland Utilities is willing to go into 20,000 for a total of 46 for one home, 3 in process, 4 large parcels. And I'm wondering if the 3 in process and 4 large again is irrelevant. It's the one home has a well and it has issues, then we fund it. But please. On a well. So they meet the criteria. That's what we're after as wells. I mean,
Does it go, those parcels just got passed up getting to those homes like that last one? Or did we go further down the road?
Lead Mine Valley, let's take a look at the map. So,
On the way to those 3.
but at 26, at 26,000, seems like a bargain compared to the other one, right?
True.
And it says that the city water stops 400 to 500 feet away from the property.
And for $46,000, Cleveland Utilities could have ran on to those houses and refused
I wasn't gonna say it. Chairman Cry, please.
My half brother lives right past that. He has no desire to be connected to public water, and this individual that comes up here and petitions us to run water down through there lives across the street, and he is not part of this. So this goes about 500 feet, but I don't know why it doesn't go farther. There's 4 or 5 more houses through there. I think you go past houses, kind of develop a lot. I don't know.
All right. So what do we want to do with Lead Mine Valley Road Southwest? Does this committee want to make a formal recommendation or not? Then motion.
I so move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Winters. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. That takes us down to Goodwin Road. One home. Total project 80,000, so 60,000 ours. Including utilities is willing to do 20,000. Let me take a look here. You guys are gonna be shocked. I'm not totally familiar with Sims Road. And that's why they are. Oh, they're including just wondered 60,000. Must have to do a lot of digging. That seems like the most expensive project so far for one house. But we're well done. Meets the criteria, and it's a well. One home on well water. And Okay, what is the pleasure of this committee on this particular project? 60,000, our cost, 20,000, including utilities for one home.
But it does meet the criteria.
It does meet the criteria. It's just seems to be very expensive. In my opinion, I don't know well.
See?
And if Lori, did I understand you correctly? I mean, here's the thing: is if they're on a well, and eventually one day a developer or they're going to benefit from us doing this infrastructure project. There's not much you can do about that. It's just the way it is, kind of thing. It's the developer trying to eliminate their cost of doing business. That's what we're trying to avoid. But getting water out to people who have wells and is what this is all about.
Do they have problems with their well?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a problem. If you don't,
Yeah,
you don't have water. I mean, it's
just.
Did you get a motion on that one yet?
Not yet. I have a motion from Commissioner Winters. I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Now we have. Well, he threw his thumb up. Any further discussion, Mayor? It looks like you want to say something.
No, I'm just anxious to total them.
I bet. All right. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. So, Lori and our mayor, if you can total those up, and we will get it ready for the full commission at the next voting session.
Should get 385 even. She'll total it up, and you guys approve it next meeting. Well, the next voting meeting is the first meeting of the month, right? That day, we will bring you amendments for ARP, putting these in the budget.
Okay.
Because they're not in there yet. They're in the plan.
We'll meet that afternoon. And,
right.
Yeah.
And I wanted to tell you, because back to those boxes, the reason Adam and I were at odds on the amount, we have been working on updating the plan. He had the latest of my update, but it's not an approved update yet. So that's why there was still money left in that bucket. I was giving you a $2 million figure. He was giving you a $1 million figure. So it's still at the 2. This 385 will come off of that 2. And then we'll go ahead and put all these other things that have been brought to our attention in the proposed plan and update it too, probably the same day, if not the next meeting after we amend it. The thing you did the other day, you'll have that amendment that day also, amending more into that one.
So with these water projects, now, I mean, you've done them before. If I'm going by memory, you're having to do a resolution per project?
I'm doing, we combined some.
But are you entering into a contract with utilities?
What I will try to do, and I think we've done it before on some, is the Cleveland utility ones, combine them, and the Ocoee utility ones, instead of having 20 of them, but we also have to have a contract too. I think we tried doing that in the later ones where we combine, we list the various projects and the amounts and just do one resolution and one contract. At least that's what we'll try to do. That part you don't have to worry about. You just got to amend the budget before we can do it. So we'll have those amendments for you that day, and I will have the updated plan for you either that day or the following.
Right. And I don't know if we had to take a vote on this, but this closes the water project.
Water bucket.
We did that with our deadline, so to speak.
That plan that I bring back to you, the updated plan, will show the total amount that you've approved for water, and it'll be closed like those broadband buckets and those others, right?
Very good. I apologize, Mayor. I totally forgot about the Hawassi thing. I know we did something with them, but I thought it was in a different bucket.
Well, they're in both buckets, just like Cleveland Utilities and Ocoee. They're in the utility bucket too that we don't fund, but you had to approve. That's probably where you remember that too. That's that extra bucket that's not part of our ARP, but it came through us. You remember?
Yeah, yeah.
So they're in there. Ocoee is, Cleveland is, Savannah is, Charleston is.
But but that 425 hasn't been approved, right?
Yeah, it's in the budget approved. It is a match. They've got that grant they're working on, and this is the match on another one. So it's two different things going on there.
All right. Thank you guys very much. If there's nothing else, we are adjourned.
Well, yeah.